And it's a privileged existence there. He almost inherited his seat from his father. So no wonder. I mean, he has the attitude as if he was living in the House of Lords. And so when you're living in that society, I mean, it's easy to get corrupted by the process. But what I think we need to solve our problems, we need to get rid of the politicians. We don't want any more politicians in Washington. We need citizens, people who are in the private sector, to come to Washington to really get a job done and then to leave. We don't want to send people to Washington just so they can live there and become part of that culture and part of that establishment, because that's why the country is in such bad shape right now, because of what Washington has done to us.
On the forefront of every news page is Obama's health care plan, a plan that could put Americans trillions more in debt. With GDP expected, or with health care costs expected to be 20% of GDP by 2017, what is the right thing to do for health care?
Well, I mean, talk about, the wrong thing at the wrong time. I mean, even if we were a prosperous nation right now, even if the government were running large surpluses, right, it would be a mistake to increase government spending and get involved in health care and health insurance. But to do it now, when we're broke, when any extra money to fund this is going to have to be borrowed from China or Japan and put us deeper into debt, I mean, it shows you how clueless our politicians are to the precarious financial position that they've placed us in. But on the merits of the whole idea, the reason that health care is so expensive right now and that the costs are running out of control is precisely because of too much government involvement in the system. Because we have government subsidies that encourage an overutilization of insurance. We have too much medical care being paid using insurance. That's the problem. We don't want to add more. I mean, if you look at I looked at some of these figures just recently, going back to 2002, and the rate of increase of insured medical procedures prices are rising 3 times as fast as the prices for uninsured procedures. In fact, if you take a look at one popular cosmetic surgery, a breast augmentation, adjusted for inflation, breast implants are cheaper today than they were 7 years ago. Now, why is it that breast implant surgery can be falling in price, whereas other surgeries are skyrocketing? And the reason is, if a woman wants breast surgery, if she wants, breast implants, insurance companies don't cover it. You got to pay for it. You got to actually write a check and give it to the doctor, which means when somebody is shopping around for a doctor, they make some phone calls. They comparison shop. They look at what they cost. Doctors are under competitive cost pressures. They know that people have a choice, that they can go to various doctors to get that surgery. So they have an incentive to keep the cost down and, of course, to keep the quality up. Nobody wants to botch a bunch of breast implants because they'll get a bad reputation. Nobody will go there. So doctors are competing on price and on reputation. And the free market is working and prices are under control. But where you have insurance involved, where people get medical insurance from their employers, where they have very low deductibles and copays, nobody cares what doctors charge. Nobody even asks. And the doctors know this. The doctors know their patients couldn't care less what procedures cost. There is no way to control costs when you have something like this, because the doctors in the hospitals, they want to earn as much as possible. If I ran my brokerage firm like that, if none of my clients cared about my commissions, in fact, if I can get the government to pay my commissions, I would triple them. Why not? Right? So this is what we've got in healthcare. We need real market forces. Health insurance should be there, but it should be there for catastrophic illnesses. Everybody who owns a home has fire insurance. Why do you have fire insurance? Well, number one, it's inexpensive. Why is it inexpensive? Well, because your house is probably not going to burn down, so you're probably not going to need it. But if your house does burn down, it's very expensive. That's what insurance is for. Low probability events that create a lot of damage. So insurance companies can make profits because they collect premiums from all the people whose houses don't burn down. And they give it to the person whose house does burn down. Well, nobody has maintenance insurance on their house, right? You don't have insurance in case your toilet overflows, your sink clogs, or your air condition breaks. You pay for those things out of pocket because those are routine maintenance problems that you know are going to happen. And you just save your money so you can afford it. Medicine should be the same way. You should not be filling out insurance forms when you get a flu. If you're sick and you go to the doctor, you should pay for it. If you sprain your ankle, you should pay for it. Routine health care problems should be paid for out of pocket. The reason you have insurance is because you might get cancer. You might have something really expensive that could break you financially if it happened. That's what insurance is for. But if you want to go to the doctor, you're supposed to save your money. We need a nation where people save for a rainy day, not borrow or rely on insurance for a rainy day. But because we have all this insurance, healthcare costs are gone ballistic. As I said, if people had insurance, for a busted, a clogged drain, how much we'd have a plumbing crisis right now. We'd be having double-digit increases in plumbing, and we'd be talking about a single payer for plumbers. It's wherever you get the government involved, you get runaway prices. The same way, look at education. Look at the cost of tuition. Look at how expensive tuition is. Why do tuitions go up so much? It's because the government is involved. The government subsidizes student loans. The government guarantees student loans. The government gives money to kids to bid up college tuitions. So the universities are not under any competitive pressure to keep costs down. If students could borrow money, if we canceled all these student loan programs, if we didn't subsidize student loans, then prices would have to collapse. Universities would have to lower their prices so kids could actually afford to go to school. But under the current system, we subsidize education, all the benefits go to the universities, and our kids graduate hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Why is that a good thing? Why do we want to saddle a young generation with $100,000 plus debt? I would rather not subsidize student loans so that tuitions could collapse, so that our kids can pay for school with a summer job and graduate debt-free.
Another topic that's come up in the news is cash for clunkers, originally funded at $1 billion. Now there's a new proposal to add an additional $2 billion to the Cash for Clunkers government program. Peter, is more government cash for clunkers the solution?
No, it's just more of the problem. And it shows you the complete lack of understanding of basic economics on the part of our leaders. Cash for clunkers is the exact opposite of what we should be doing. I mean, it is the worst thing that they could do. It makes me think of that Seinfeld episode where George Costanza, decided that he was just going to do the opposite of everything he wanted to do. Every instinct he had was wrong, and so he was going to do the opposite. Well, that's what we need. We need Congress, whenever they come up with something, they need to figure out what the exact opposite of that is, and then do that. Cash for clunkers, think about what this is, right? Here's what we're doing. We're taking cars that people already own, cars that work, cars that we paid for in the past, and now there's no more car payment. We paid off the debt. We own these assets free and clear. They work. They function. We're destroying them. We are paying money to destroy them. We are expending money to take an asset that works and create no value, destroy it. Then the government is going deeper into debt. It's already in a lot of debt. We're taking on more debt to encourage American citizens to go deeper into debt, to go out and buy brand new cars that they can't afford with money that they don't have, right? And so the society is now deeper in debt. So what we're doing is destroying cars to take on more debt. Why would anybody do that? Why would a society that is suffering from too much debt deliberately take on more? I mean, it's like somebody loses their job and they decide to put in a swimming pool. I mean, why would you go deeper into debt when you're in financial trouble? What we need to do with our clunkers is keep on driving them. We got to drive them until the engines fall out. We are broke. This is not a time to buy new cars. This is a time to save our money. We need to rebuild an economy, and you don't do that by going into debt. We need to make more cars, that's for sure, but we need to make them that we can export to people who can afford them and who need them. This is the worst thing that they could do. And of course, you can apply this ridiculous cash for clunkers logic to other industries. I mean, look at all the retailers that are going out of business. Why don't we have cash for clothing, right? Why don't we let people, destroy their old wardrobes and give them money to buy new stuff, right? I mean, update people's clothing. I mean, what about houses? Why don't we have dough for dumps? People have they live in an old beat-up house. Why not destroy it and give them money to buy a new one? I mean, this is all nonsense. You don't get rich destroying things, right? You don't destroy things just so you can spend money replacing them, especially if you have to borrow.